Hey, let's get this party started. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Michael Woodward Jr. Super excited, super privileged just to have this moment of your time. I know you've got this story that you are just ready to tell the world, to tell a child, to tell your best friend, to share with your mama, a memoir, a cookbook, a novella, a board book, an ABC book. It matters not. You're at the right place. It took me so long to figure this process out, and I'm about to give it to you. Now, I can't give you the entire writing process from beginning to end because we just don't have enough time in the day. But what I can do is answer some of the trickiest questions and uncertainties that stand before us as people who are looking to self publish our own work, our own inspiration. Gone with the days of us waiting for a reply, of hoping and praying and wishing that someone believes in what it is that we want to share with others, because now we're in 2025, and even a little bit before and hopefully long time after, we can continue to self-publish our work so that we can infiltrate the lives, hearts, and communities of those all around us. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Again, my name is Dr. Michael Woodward Jr. I'm a children's literature professor. I'm a children's author of 32 works sold all over the world, from bedtime stories to concept books to um, bedtime stories to novellas to curriculums, phonics. The list goes on and on. And we hope to keep it going. But, I have to first take a moment to share this knowledge in hopes of you sharing with the world your very own inspiration. So don't let me be a chatty patty. Let me share my screen and I will show you a little bit of my presentation, some things to help you be on your way. All right. So hopefully you can see, screen share, all that good stuff. Super long PowerPoint presentation. I mean, hey, you can't publish a book overnight now. So bear with me, but for this particular module or section, I wanted to start us off at section 3, publication. Let's pick things up from where we were before. When you think of publication, the road to success is not linear. And I mean success as in a successful publication. I'm not talking about success as in awards, royalties, how much money you made, but I mean simply a successful, approved publication. It's not linear. It's not a straight line. It's not. It's full of ups and downs, highs and lows. It takes so much patience, a great deal of patience, unless you are the author and the illustrator and the editor, which I doubt. Many of us, we had to hire these things and freelance these people. So as quick as you like people to act, sometimes success takes time. And writing a book is definitely, maybe not so much as the writing part, but I guarantee you, each of these little pieces of the puzzle I'm going to share with you is what determines this road being challenging or not, or at the very least, linear or not. So, these are things I like to ask people that I hold this workshop with. List 3 people in your life who you can reach out to for support. Why are they important? It is important for you to say that out loud or write that down so you can remind yourself why you chose your village and how can they support you. Will they proofread things? Will they look at things and give you just a friendly suggestion? Now, keep in mind, we're banking on our editor and illustrator to give us their best, to tell us the tough things that we probably don't want to hear, but we have to. Sometimes your friends may not do that with risk of losing the friendship or relationship. But your editor and illustrator, that's not what they're there for. They're not there to be your friend. Like, they're there to give you their best and to also help you create what it is that you already have in your mind to be its best self. So how do we do that? Again, we're in module 3, the publication part. If you haven't seen any other videos, please check them out either on the course online or within my YouTube at Dr. Michael Woodward Jr. All right, publication. But first, we got to find an editor. We got to find an illustrator. We've got to define our print on demand companies, the ISBN, your dedication page, your cover page, trim sizes, public pages. Oh my, so much comes before the beauty and getting pictures of someone reading your book on the beach. So much comes before, but that's what makes it so sweet, so rewarding. So let me pull back the curtains because this is where it all starts. Once you have your manuscript, once you have your vision, once you are ready to invest your money, and once you feel like, all right, this is going to work. This is good. This is my best. Now go find help. But this is help you're gonna have to pay for. And remember, you get what you pay for in this work. You might look up and be able to negotiate yourself a good deal, but if the price seems too good to be true, it possibly is. For your editor, many of them charge by the word, maybe 5 cents, 10 cents. I've seen a couple of people do different things. Of course, they want to know what that bottom line is. How many words am I going to be copy editing? But know that some people use editors to tweak their content. Some people use editors to write for them. Those are ghostwriters. So you can use editors for different things, but keep in mind of your integrity, what you want to present to the world. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, what's cool or not cool, but always be mindful of your integrity. And I had my first editor. I think I've gone through probably like 5 or 6 editors over these past 6 years. And the very first one, she was such a doll. She was so nice, but she had a way of telling me like, this is not good enough. We need to fix this. I'm tired of hearing this sentence over and over again, or this context. Stop explaining, do more showing. She had this one line she used to say, it was called like cutting your darlings. And yeah, that really stuck out to me. And pretty much what that means is you may feel so proud about something that you've written, a paragraph, a sentence, like, yo, no, we need this detail. But your editor is telling you, like, nah, you don't really need that. It's just kind of fluff. It's going to bore your reader. It's going to have them create a sense of fatigue, and it's just not worth it. So different ways. So there's Fiverr and Upwork. These are the two most dominating platforms for what I know, what I've experienced. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of other sites and ways to find people, but Upwork and Fiverr is the most reliable that I've found that I can give you from my vantage point. I've dabbled a little in Fiverr, but Upwork, that's where it is. Keep in mind, I'm not getting paid for any of this. This is me just giving you the knowledge that I've been accumulating for years for you and the children. So, anyways, in Upwork, it's a really dope freelance website that'll give you the opportunity to meet people all over the world, to interview people, to accept proposals, to post a job. And that's exactly what this is. Of course, I didn't put the name of my book. I didn't want anybody to steal any information. So I just kind of spoke generally and made up stuff. Allie the Alligator Children's Book Illustrator Wanted. That was the name of the title. In about 2 or 3 days, it generated 38 proposals. So that was 38 different people I was able to kind of sift through, see where they were from. I could limit it to the nation, to the United States, or why would we do that? We need to see what's worldwide, what's happening in other countries. I like to see different styles that I may or may not be familiar with. Be pretty clear with your body of your proposal. Tell them what you want. I'm looking for a mix of traditional drawing and modern technology. I'm telling them exactly what it is that I'm wanting and still giving them the creative freedom. Tell them that you'll negotiate the price. Don't think that like you're dead set on $20 an hour and you can only work 40 hours. Some people use a fixed price. I give you $500. I give you $1,500 for a 30-page, 15 spread book, full colors, cover page, all that good stuff. Some people like different illustrators, of course, they're used to different business models, but you want to do what is in your budget. Now, remember the cost of someone editing a 750 bedtime story versus a 30,000 word novella are two different prices. Quite possibly, those are two different skill sets. So you want to really choose wisely. Look at the track record of people and freelancers. Don't just hire the first editor or first illustrator you see. Go through their work. Tell them to send you things. I mean, they're already going to know that in Upwork. They're going to know to give you a portfolio of something of some sort. Request one. You can even meet with them on Zoom afterwards when you're ready to interview them. I don't really do that. I just kind of let me see your work. Let me see your best. Let me see what you can do. And then I just want to see if it fits in the style or the umbrella of what it is that I'm trying to tackle on, whether that's oil-based painting, whether that's black and white sketches, where whether it is I got this one book, Father, Father, and Ode to the Fatherless. It's very serious, serious tone. So the entire book is like an amber sepia type of color, and I think we knocked it out of the park. But it lets you know how colors can impact mood and tone and how a book comes off. Your editor, remember, it's not your friend. Y'all might grow to become close friends, but this is not your friend. This is someone who is going to slice and dice. They're going to tell you, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And you want to have them like give them your Word document. You give it to them, they give it back to you, and you can see all of the edits. Now, it is up to you if you want to accept all of the edits. Or if you want to be like me and be super meticulous, I'm going to go through each one and I'm going to make a decision. Am I going to accept this revision or am I going to reject it? Meaning, am I going to take whatever she fixed and leave it in that scenario or say, you know what, I really like what I wrote. I'm going to keep it. Now, that's super prideful of you now. And you run a big risk if you decline what your editor like recommended. But I'm not going to tell you it's wrong because the editor. All right, let me tell you a little bit about me. So I'm from a low income community. I'm from Miami, Florida, a big part of Atlanta, Georgia as well. And it took a long time for us to really get to a place that like, was like was very nice. It was very nice. Let's leave it at that. So there are some experiences and stories that I can tell from low income communities that quite possibly my editor, who may be from an affluent background, from another part of town, may have no idea what that even means. So they may cut it. But I know because I went through every line and I know exactly how that aligns with the story. I may explain it and try to like pitch it back to the editor to see what they say, or I may just reject her revision and keep my words. So many ways to play the game, but trust your editor. You hired them, you're paying for them. And if you see just one mistake in your book, it's going to really upset you. So you want to make sure you're giving your editor complete trust and creative freedom to be able to tweak things and fix comma splices, run-on sentences, reoccurring simple sentences, as opposed to complex sentences. And that's what will help that's what will help keep everything in line and intact. Your illustrator, two different people. These are not the same person. Two different people. Your illustrator, oh, you want them to be a dreamer. You want them to just be amazing. You may have that story down pat, but like, do you have the color palette down pat? No, you don't. Your illustrator may be familiar with hundreds of thousands of fonts. They may have different like accounts of people's faces and facial expressions in their mind than you may not have. And that can help heighten your story to the next level. So very similar to the editor, you get what you pay for with your illustrator. You want to really take this on as an investment. Super serious. Illustrations don't just start off as like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. To me, illustrations start off as doodles. So you see, this is my journal. This is like one of my hundreds of notebooks that I keep around. Sometimes they're all not for notes. Sometimes they're for drawings and doodles, what I see in my mind. Sometimes my illustrator is from an entirely another country, and English may be their second language. So I need to show them what I mean when I say a parasail. The penguin flew on the parasail. Well, my illustrator who drew Penguins Can't Fly, such a doll. She's so amazing. She didn't know what a parasail was. So I had to like show her images and I had to draw things out like, yo, I want this sail that attaches to the penguin, that attaches to the boat. At the end, I want them all to throw the penguins up. I want a sunset, and I want the title. Tell them exactly what you want. Give your illustrator the creative freedom to be their best, but tell them like the direction to go in. And you want to have milestones. Do the black and whites first, and then let me approve that. Don't color anything until I approve. Don't waste money. We all have revisions. We all see things differently the second time around. It comes with it, but use your revisions sparingly. Some illustrators will charge you double, triple the price just for having them go back and fix things. Can you blame them? Imagine if you were the illustrator and somebody made you fix the same spread 5 or 10 times. As the illustrator, it's not their fault. Your vision isn't crystal clear. It's not their fault. You're not certain on what you want your book to show or to illustrate. So use a sense of empathy. Draw out, flush it out. It don't matter. You're not the illustrator. It ain't got to be perfect as long as they can understand what's going on. And that is the intention with all my doodles. All right, cool. Remember, we talked about specificity. We talked about like telling the illustrator exactly like, yo, no, this isn't right. This doesn't like align with my vision. Like, be like, of course, courteous, like, use your manners, your please and thank you. But, instead of writing a super long email, take a screenshot of the picture and tell them, no palm leaves or arms, please. I think it will make for a cleaner illustration of her flying using the parasail instead, I think. So this like says a lot about me. It says that I may not be completely sure what I want, but I'm going to help guide you in the direction and we're going to work together until we get it right. Now, I'm not going to keep asking you to revise things. Eventually, I'm going to come up with what it is that I want exactly based off of what you share with me. But at the same time, like, yo, we have to be succinct with our, feedback. So notice I even commented on the manuscript in the text on the page. Fix this, kind of fix it that way. I'm using different colors. I'm drawing on the page so that they can see what it is that I want. And once you are like super clear and your black and whites are approved, hopefully you get something beautiful in return. Look at the font, the setup of the font, the stanza, the vividness, the illustration as a whole. It went from a black and white to yours. And that's what it's about. I love it. But it takes time. It takes so much time. Oh my God. So, all right, let me share with you some really, really big things that are actually pretty small, but they're really big. But they just kind of come off small because they're in the background. All right, so follow me closely. As you work towards publication, there's all these little battles and these little things that you need to be thinking about. Because you may not, like, okay. When you first think about writing a book, I guarantee you're not thinking about like, oh, how much am I going to sell this book for? What's going to be the ISBN number? What's going to be the trim size? You're going to think about this stuff eventually, but initially, you're only thinking about like the manuscript, the colors, the setting, the problem, the antagonist. Well, now it's time to shift gears. And I want you to think about the really, really big, small things. Your dedication page, probably the easiest out of all of them. But you want to be thoughtful. You want to reflect and you want to be considerate. I love this dedication page. I always take a moment to put a lot of love. Even though this is kind of one of the last things I do when I write a book, you can't cut corners. It sets the tone. I really like my dedications. And I think some could have been better than others. Or some are better than others, and some could have been better than what they are. But at the same time, each of them means something special to me. Sometimes it's an Easter egg. Sometimes it's super easy to come across. Looking at this page, if I was to be reading in front of a bunch of third and fourth graders, I'd read the caption, to those that feel alone, know that you never truly are. And I'd be like, do you think the camel is alone in this moment? If the book is about a crocodile and you got this camel in the Nile River, already I'm drumming up attention. So that's something that I'm giving you. Like, yes, your dedication page can just be words, but you can throw a picture on there as well to extend the story. Put your love in your dedication page. Your cover page. I really didn't want to put this slide here in the next slide, but it's cool because I know you guys can rewind and I know you can fast forward. Your cover page, this should be the very last thing you do. Your cover page. Here's why. You're going to think I'm crazy. Your cover page, for me, why it should be last is because as you create a book, let's say it's a 30-page book with 15 spreads. The spread is 2 pages, 1 illustration on 2 pages. As I have page by page created, I'm looking at everything from the text to the to the main character, to the supporting character, and I'm looking for the best illustration, the best one, or even if it's just my main character, just the best pose, that is probably what I'll use for my cover. A lot of times I can kind of see the cover in my mind. Of course, for King Monty, it's a chapter book series. They're all kind of the same. I just change the weather, the time of day, and things in the background. But this position is always the same. So when it came time to share with the illustrator, like, yo, I want this same as the rest of them, as the other King Monties, but I want a golden theme, a fall feel, a sunset. I want Big Luther. That's the dog, one of the antagonists in my second book. Um, Big scary dog, and I drew it on the fence. And look, she drew it on the fence. I talked about like the apartment structure being the same as within the other books. Totally fine. I talked about a creepy white van. This is a part of the story, and she was able to put it in. So this is the game that we play with our cover page, but just save it for last because it may change. I don't want to say change. It may evolve. You're like what you initially wanted versus what you have at the end, and it's like, whoa, I really like spread 8 on page 8. I really like how the main character looks. Let's use that and then throw in a fancy title. So how you get your illustrator to make sure the cover is right? Ingram Spark, I feel like KDP. I don't really know about some of the others, but I know Ingram Spark will give you a cover template. Your cover template is what you give to your illustrator, so they are able to adjust the cover image and the cover page to fit into the bleed area. Tell them to follow this to a T. You also get the luxury of getting your barcode. They'll give it to you, and then they can just copy paste and put it on the cover. They, as in your illustrator. So this is dope because that takes out a piece of the process because you have to have your ISBN showing on every book, children's book, young adult book, self-help book. It doesn't matter. You need to have the barcode on the back and on the publication page. Well, not the barcode, but the bar number, the ISBN on both parts, but that barcode has to be on the back. All right, cool. Be super patient. I've had some illustrators that get it right on the first try. And I've had others, it's taken us at least 8, 9, 10 times of back and forth, try again. The illustrator just has to follow the directions to a T, no matter what size the book is. This is an 8x8 book, so it's a small square book. But whether it's a 9x11, 5.5 by 8 inches, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to get this template. The illustrator has to follow it. Your ISBN, your International Standard Book Number. It's the most important identifier your book can have. As much as it pains me to say, I'm probably not the only Michael Woodward. I may be the only Dr. Michael Woodward, but I'm not the only Michael Woodward. So I'm pretty sure there's probably another author out there somewhere who has my same name. So we can't use that to only identify a book. You need an ISBN number. I had to learn this the hard way. So I'm just going to give it to you right now. Every edition of your book must have an ISBN number. Say that again. Every edition of your book must have an ISBN. So whether you have a paperback or a hardcover, they both have 2 different ISBNs. They can't have the same ISBN. I know. You're like, what? Why can't it be the same? I know. Paperback, hardcover, 2 different ISBNs. Ebooks, so for like Amazon, KDP, you don't need a ISBN number. Maybe for some other ebooks you might, but I know from uploading on KDP, you do not need an ISBN. So most retailers require ISBN. It's like your book's social security number. You have to have it. Like your LLC's EIN number, you have to have it. Libraries, bookstores, they're not going to search the name. They may search you as an author if you have like a dope track record, but they're going to put in the ISBN, that 13-digit number. So how do you get an ISBN? 2 ways. I'm sure there's more than 2 ways, but these are the 2 most primitive, traditional ways. And your print-on-demand companies, which I'll show you in a moment, many of them offer a complimentary ISBN. But is anything truly free that's free? My mind wonders. However, they do offer you a complimentary ISBN. Does that mean you own the ISBN? No, you do not. The platform owns it. So I've yet to see how that negatively plays out. But I do know that you do not own that ISBN. How can you go on to own your ISBN? They even encourage you, oddly. They say, like, yo, like, you can use ours. But once you start saying ours, that's where you kind of lose me as an entrepreneur. I need everything to be mine, just in case, when the book blows up, I don't have people kind of coming back to me saying I owe them things. So all jokes aside, you can purchase your own ISBNs through Bowker, and Bowker is like the number one U.S. agency for ISBNs, and it's a global standard for book identification. I don't think this is just like Florida thing, a Georgia thing, an American thing. This is like all over the world. Your ISBN. So how much do they cost? Oh no, I lost it. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you all out. I remember this. You can buy one ISBN for about, I think it's like $100, $80, or you can buy them as in 10. You can buy 10 of them. Or you can buy 100 ISBNs. So I know for 10 ISBNs it's $395. They're at Bowkers. Remember, if you have a paperback and ISBN, each idea of a book is going to cost you 2 ISBNs. So if you're like me and you're like, all right, this is one book I'm writing, this is another book I'm writing, this is another book, you got to think about all these ISBNs. And you paying 300 for 10. So if you do that, what is that? $30 in ISBN. These things cost. And you can't reuse them. You can only use them one time for that one book. All right, I don't want to beat that up too much. Remember, they give you a free one, but is everything free that's free? So I'm gonna let you make that decision. I have both. I'm not gonna lie. My first couple books, when we're investing all of our money and not really selling much initially, I use complimentary ISBNs, and then I switched gears. I was like, nah, I want to own these. So I started buying my own Bowkers, and ultimately, I have yet to see a difference. There's no difference in the rate that it gets published. There's no bonus points for the publication review. So I will leave that totally up to you. Your publication page, it's kind of a boring page in the book, but it is super important. Super important. Your ISBNs on your publication page. When you submit your book for publication review, they will look to see if the ISBNs are on your cover page. Of course, put your copyright, put a little summary, put who wrote it, who edited it, who designed it. Give your people some love. Just because you don't put them on the cover of the book doesn't mean you can't still establish credibility for them. So do that. And put a little picture in your publication page. Spruce it up a little bit. Make it nice. Your print on demand platforms, there's so many. There's Lulu, there's Amazon Kindle, there's Ingram Spark. There's some who are overseas and you create your own Amazon account and sell them that way. So many different ways. Remember, none of these places are paying me to tell them or to tell you which one to use. So I will leave it up to you. But me personally, I use Ingram Spark and KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a subsidiary of Amazon. Amazon bought them out a couple years ago. And yeah, that's what I use. And every season, they all get better and better. That's why it's hard to keep up with them. But if you have no idea what to do, and you have a great idea in mind, you can't go wrong with Amazon and KDP, to be honest. I got some friends who use Lulu. I heard it came out pretty well. But me personally, Ingram, KDP all day. Ingram's quality is unmatched. It's the largest distributor of books all around the world for libraries and in bookstores. So Ingram is just really a place to go. It's a very hot buzzword in the publishing world. Um, KDP is nice. Their prices are a little cheaper. They used to just have paper books, but now they got paper books. They've got ebooks. I hear they've got hardcovers, so they're really stepping it up, and it's really just a trial and error. Um, but yeah, so I want to give you that piece. Oh, my slides was off. My bad. So these are the ISBNs and their different costs. You can buy 10 of them. You can buy one. It's kind of ridiculous to just buy one ISBN. You probably just want to buy a little batch of them and just sit on them. They never expire. They last forever. And yeah, it's gonna cost. Every book that you have in mind, it's gonna cost. Trim sizes. How big do you want your book? Do you want a little book? Do you want to make a little set of books? Do you want to make 8 by 8.5 by 11 book? I think this one is 9 by 11, but notice it's more horizontal. Or do you just want a big old 9 by 12 inch book, like with huge pictures? There's so many ways to play the game. I think about how my table looks when I'm tabling. I love how the different like sizes of books look. It looks very busy. Someone once told me the smaller a book is, the more serious you take it. So I always thought that was interesting. Of course, chapter books and novel books should be able to fit in your back pocket, they say, for travelers. And of course, children books are big. They're big because children are learning new words, so it really helps with vocabulary. The pictures also pull them in. I can't tell you what's the best because I like different ones. I can tell you my favorites. I can tell you the most common book trim sizes. Ultimately, it's up to you. How big or little do you want your book? And if you're doing a paperback and a hardcover, you kind of want them to be the same. So not every trim size has a paper and a hard like part of each other. So be mindful of that. Like when you're looking at what is available for hardcover or paperback, you want to look at the trim sizes for both. You should see it in your mind. All right, I'm going to do an 8 by 8 book. That means it's going to be a square book. It's going to be small. It's going to be colorful, but I also want it in hardcover. So you have to see if 8 by 8 is on both. Here's another example. My chapter series King Monty. There's two different trim sizes because initially I only knew how to do paperback publications. So the paperback publication, I want to say is like 5 by 2 5. So it's 5 by 2, 5 by 8. But then the novel, they're both novels. The hardcover is bigger and it's thicker. And they didn't have the same trim size for the hardcover. Because initially I did all my paperbacks for Amazon and then my hardcovers in Ingram. And then Ingram started doing paperbacks that actually came out pretty nice. So I'm saying a whole lot to tell you to think wise and be mindful of your trim size because it'll play a part in the size of the book that you create. Here's a further breakdown of trim sizes. So this is Ingram Spark, some of their most common, and this is KDP. I highlighted the ones that I have, different books. I'm sure there's a couple more that I have. I try to keep them similar, but I love a nice, I love a nice horizontal book for kids' books. And I love a small, like 5 by 8 book for either a preschool book that may only have like 4 or 5 words in it, or a novel that may have 30,000, but they can fit in their back pocket and they can take that book anywhere. Print on demand cost. How much does it cost to print this book? Because that plays a part in your margins. How much am I going to sell it for? And what you sell it for online and what you sell it for at the back of your trunk is going to produce two different profit margins. Why? Because you got a middleman. If you're going to pay Amazon, you're going to pay KDP to globally distribute your book, put it in Barnes and Nobles, put it in Walmart, put it in Target. That's amazing, but your profit margin is going to be so much more smaller. Take, for instance, if I was to sell There's Something About Mommy for a retail price of $20, the supplier will get a 15% discount. The industry standard is 55%. And you want people to buy your books, meaning the curators, the librarian, the person who picks out the books for Target, but they're not going to pay $19.99. That's what they're going to sell it for. So you're cutting into your profit margins. Long story short, compensation is about $1.60 for There's Something About Mommy, the hardcover. I'll probably get like $1.50 per book I sell, but I'm selling this passively in my sleep. I could be just catching random consumers on the Target website, and that's dope. But that's not going to keep the lights on unless we're selling like thousands of them. So be mindful. You also have to have that hustler spirit. You got to keep books in your car. You have to be willing and ready to sign and sell books right there in the parking lot. Or I've walked people to my car. Hey, Dr. Wood, hey, Mike, you got any of those books on you? Man, I saw you on my timeline. Can I just have a signed copy? And they want a signed copy too. So now if you sell the same book for $20, but you only paid, let's say, $4 or $5 for it to be created, That's the profit margin of $15. Now I'll let you play the game how you choose to play the game, but know that with each book will come a set of costs that are completely dependent upon your page count, your type of book, paperback, hardcover, the interior, like the color. Did you use basic color? Did you use premium color? And this is when you put in your print information, it's going to ask you what kind of color. So that would suck. You pay this illustrator to like produce this beautiful book, but now you have to pay for like the premium colors, or you'll have a faded, you know what I'm saying, illustration. It's a game. It is a game. And you can go through each one by one by ordering author's copies and trial and erroring, or you can go based off of your budget. And sadly, every book of mine, I can't afford premium color. Some needs the middleman, the color 70. I think it's like 50, 70, 90. There are plenty for you to choose from, but only you can decide, how much money am I going to spend, because it's going to drive that compensation either up or down. Notice my ISBN number is here. The spine, here's a quick heads up. If you join a paperback book, most likely you can't do a spine unless it's like a chapter book. I mean, because the spine of a paperback is so small, they're not going to let you include art on it. But if it's a hardcover, you can have a lot of spine artwork. And if it's a chapter book, which means it's thick, you can have spine. So that's just a quick little Snapple fact. Release date, publication date. Notice these two dates are different. Here's the trick I'm gonna teach you. All right, so your publication date, when does the book come out? When are you gonna mail it to my house, or when should I have it? So for this book, it was set to come out 9/27/2024. Here's another Snapple fact. It's actually my son's birthday, so I like to pick like weird dates throughout the year as little Easter eggs for family and friends. And maybe one day they'll figure it out. Maybe one day they won't. Play the game how you so choose. Anyways, on 9/27, this book is set to come out. However, on 9/6, the book is available to be on sale. Now, many of the POD companies won't tell you exactly what this means. Uh-oh, my battery's dying. Sorry about that. My sound was the audio was kind of tripping. So I want to re-record, make sure everything's good. So we talked a little bit about release dates. Notice how the publication is on 9/27. That is the day that stores will be able to release to the public. You can get it in your hands. It should deliver to your home by then. But notice that on sale date is different. We're down here. The on sale date is before the publication date, because this is the day that you can release it to the world in a way where people can order pre-sales. Now, in my immature days, in my more immature days, 6 years ago, I used to be like, why do I need to do a pre-sale? Just release it to the world and we get the sales that we get. But no, like a lot of it boils down to the listservs that you create, the relationships that you build, word of mouth, your marketing plan, and that should incorporate pre-sales. It should definitely encompass pre-sales. There's a lot of money there, and it's like an extension to talking about the book. Like, you ever see a really great movie that comes out in the movies? They went so hard marketing in it for 6 months, trailers, YouTubes, everything. Then once that movie comes out on AMC or whatever, you may get one more week of promo. Um, You'll possibly get some word of mouth, whether it's good or bad, but that's really the last you hear about it until the movie comes out on DVD or pay-per-view or something. And that's pretty much how a book is too. It's exciting. It's an exciting time when it comes out, but before and after, what have you done to keep it relevant, to keep it in the minds of others? So your pre-sale gives you the opportunity to do that when you set it ahead. These 4 weeks of marketing for pre-sales garnered me about 650 sales, like give or take a couple, but 650 before anyone's touched a book, before I've taken a single picture with the book, really speaks volumes. And I can only imagine had I spent more time and not writing so many different books at one time and just focusing on a pure marketing plan that aligns. So it's something you want to keep in mind as you look to gauge how your marketing is going, the reception of your book before it even comes out. Let's go into Publication revision. This is the finish line. Now, just because you've arrived to this place does not mean you're ready. Like, it doesn't mean you've done anything post publication wise in terms of like marketing the book, but this is like the most important step because this is where you submit perfection. And that's tough, man. That's a really tough word to use because it's kind of subjective. What's perfect to somebody may not be perfect to someone else. But what I mean perfect, I mean like it passes all the metadata requirements. You have your ISBN showing on the back cover, your ISBN is showing on your publication page, your bleed area, nothing is cut off from your trim size, from your art. None of your manuscript is like leaking off the page. It's got to be perfect. And they're going to check behind you. They're going to be like super more fine tooth comb than we may be as entrepreneurs. So that's why you want to make sure when you approach this stage, you've had a conversation with your editor. You two are on the same page. Your illustrator is good about everything. You've leaned on your village. You've shown it in different mediums, meaning like, okay, you may look at it as a PDF on your computer, but are you looking at it on a PDF connected to your to your TV, to your smart TV? Have you thought of printing out the PDF and holding it like a real book and reading it over like that? There's so many ways you can check your work to make sure that it's perfect, but you want to ensure that it's perfect. Now, luckily, Ingram has given us a 60-day window. If we find any errors within our author's copy or within our published copy, we can have it fixed for free. But know this, after 60 days and other print on demand companies, they charge you to fix your work. And that sucks because they're not reviewing comma splices and misspelled words. That's not what they're reviewing for when it comes time for publication. They're checking for metadata. They're checking for if the printing is aligned and whatever secret stuff that they won't tell us. But know that when it gets to this stage, you want to make sure it's tight. And mistakes happen, so don't beat yourself up. Just know that the moment that that book hits the doorstep, it should hit your doorstep first before it hits anyone else's doorstep. But that's a given. The moment it hits the doorstep, you are looking at every page, every word, every picture to make sure it's perfect because there are people out there that look for mistakes in books. That don't mean they're going to tell you about them, but that don't mean they aren't going to tell anyone else about them either. So we want to act with a sense of pride and integrity when we approach this part of the finish line. Because while this is the finish line to what you've created, this is merely the beginning for post-publication. But no, to be continued, ... We're not quite ready for that yet because we want to make sure we get approved for publication and review. There's so many intricacies that are a part of this process. But if you've made it this far, or if your thinking has gotten to this point where you can see and visualize, like, all right, when I get this document and get that document, and I get these ducks in a row, then we're ready. Go for it. I believe in you. It took me years to figure all this out. But I present it to you now. So I hope that you make the most of it. I wish you the best, and I'll see you in module in section 4, post-publication. Inspire the masses.